Good evening. Hopefully, you can hear me. So, welcome. It's Sunday evening, and I am super, super tired. When you join me, please do let me know that you are watching. If you watch on the replay, I would still absolutely love to know that you have watched. So please do let us know by using the hashtag replay or by commenting just as you would do if you were joining me live. So the reason why I'm so tired is we've had one hell of a weekend. So yesterday I was at a baby shower, followed by a lovely evening with my partner at home. And then this morning we've done football training. Then we've had lunch, and then we have been out to Delamere Forest. For those of you that are local to Cheshire, to Northwich, to Delamere, please, please, please do head on down to Delamere Forest because we just had the best time in the lake there. So we've done some swimming in the lake. We also did the aqua park, and it's just been so nice just to get out, be in nature, be as a family, but also just to take some time to just do something that really lights us up. But we are exhausted now. So it is Sunday. For those of you that don't know, we have got our new training starting tomorrow. It's myself. If you don't know me, my name is Charlotte. I am the founder of Exhale, and joining me to lead this training is the incredibly capable, incredibly gorgeous. She's super elegant when you see her. She just has so much grace about her. But Emma is our lead Exhale Kids trainer, and she is going to be joining us for the training. She's out teaching as we speak, so she can't be live with me tonight, but she's going to be live for the next few days. So to give you a bit of a background, as I say, my name is Charlotte. I'm the founder of Exhale. Exhale is the UK's first mind-body class to combine the beautiful benefits of breath work, of mindful movement, of affirmations, and of music. We put it all together in gorgeous classes. We started off just teaching adults, but now we are lucky enough to be able to teach children from age 2 all the way up until they can join us in our adult classes. We have instructors up and down the country teaching our methods, using our class plans, using our playlists, and sort of creating this gorgeous community of like-minded people who are really passionate about supporting emotional, physical and spiritual well-being for everyone. So that does mean we start at age 2, and that means you can still practice with us when you are age 92. You know, this is open to everybody. One of the things that we are most passionate about is making meditation feel normal, finding ways to help people slot it into their everyday life so that they can really embody the principles of meditation and mindfulness. And as I say, we've got science to back all this stuff up now. It's not just about this woo-woo fluffy stuff. This is about supporting, as I say, your physical health, which then informs your emotional health. So how we feel in our bodies affects how we feel up here, right? And the two are linked, the two talk to each other, you can't have one without the other. But what we also know to be true is that for true well-being, you also need to embrace and accept your spirituality too. So what we believe meditation can do for people and mindfulness can do for people is improve their physical, emotional and spiritual health. As you jump on, please do say hello. It is gorgeous for me to be able to say hello to people so that I know that I'm not just talking a load of nonsense. One of the things I do normally say at the start of this is that we are super passionate about what we do, and we have been so lucky. We've had so many opportunities. We have been lucky enough to be able to go and teach at ITV Studios. We've won a contract with them. We've also been able to go and teach at Google headquarters in London. We have taught to hundreds at festivals, hundreds in one go, which is incredible. The feeling of just supporting and holding that many people and having all our energies sort of merge and mingle and rise together is just incredible. So we've been lucky enough to do that as well. We've also taught celebrities and celebrities' children. So if you are thinking about bringing meditation to your world, to the children in your world, that's what this week is all about. Or if you are looking to have more impact with your meditation business, you are definitely in the right place, because we've been there, we've done it, and we have, like I say, we've been lucky enough now to have a lot of success. Our success, I don't measure it financially, I measure it on the amount of people that we are able to support. And I know through our network of instructors going out, we are out across the country, and the amount of lives that they touch, I know that our impact is literally in the hundreds of thousands now. Like, this is insane. But what we do works. So stay with us to listen tonight, to understand why this is so important, this work, why we want to empower you as parents, as caregivers, as teachers, as support workers, whatever it is. If you've got children in your world, you want to be on this training, and I'm going to talk you through why we're giving up our time for free to do this, why we should be doing it, why we need to do it. So I'm just going to have a quick look at see who is on. So I've got a couple of people saying hello. So if you have not given StreamYard permission, and sometimes even if you have, StreamYard's a bit of a pain like that, I can't see who is talking to me. So if you want to do me a favour when you leave me a comment, and I'd love for you to comment, please, please, please do. I really feed off the energy of the group, and I really want to make this training really super relevant to everybody who joins. So if you've got a question, or if your situation is really unique, or if something is really resonating with you, please do let me know, because that will really help us tailor this training to suit your needs. I am a teacher at heart. Before I went to do this and set up my business, I was a teacher. So one of the things that oh, hi Kate, I've not spoken to you in ages. Me and Kate used to go to the same yoga class. So lovely to see you here, and I know you're amazing at meditation, so you'll love this week. It'd be really good for you. So yeah, I'm a teacher at heart. So and if you're a teacher, I know there are loads and loads of teachers. We've had so many teachers join this challenge, which is what me and Emma really, really wanted. We know how teachers work. I need some participation. That's how I'm gonna ask for some response. I'm going to assess your response. Not really, but then I'm going to come back. I'm going to reflect on my practice. But what I really want to say is just be here, pull up a chair. You can be as quiet or as loud as you want. But if you have got a question, if you have got something to say, if there's something that's resonating with you, please do let me know. So I'm just going to have a little sip of my drink before I get started. I've made notes because I always leave something out. But we are going to talk. I went down the wrong way. I've got pink kombucha. So we are starting tonight. Really, tonight is, like I say, just an opportunity for me to get to know you better, you to get to know me better. Like I say, Emma is teaching, otherwise she would be here as well. She may pop on later, we will see. So why is this so important right now? One of the things, in fact, before we get into that, this is really important. What we need to say is, I am not sitting here like some guru on a throne that's got it all figured out. I still struggle as a parent. I don't get it right every time. My children, and I have one of my biologically my own child, and I have two stepchildren as well. We still struggle as a family in terms of we have emotional things get overwhelming. We've had tears today. We've had one of our children refuse to go into the water at Delamere. You know, we are absolutely normal. And one of the biggest misconceptions really around introducing meditation and mindfulness to children is almost this expectation that it's going to change their personalities, that it's going to make them just into these perfect angels that never shout or scream, never misbehave. And I just want to get it out there and say, this is not what this is about. This is about us helping children to hold on to or reclaim that sense of self-worth, confidence, courage, creativity, all of that stuff that we come to this earth fully aware of. When we are born as children, we come into this world and we only have two fears, the fear of falling and the fear of loud noises. Everything else is a human construct. Everything else that we go through, You know, all these experiences that we go through sort of chip away at our self-love, our self-confidence, our self-esteem, our like ability to sense and believe in magic, our creativity. Life kind of gets in the way, and before you know it, you end up operating in such a way where you've got all of these layers of expectations, of rules, of responsibilities, of labels that society places upon us. And these layers get so thick that we can't remember what's at our heart. So, this is what this is about. It's not about making children quiet and silent and still. This is about children reclaiming or maintaining their knowledge that they are enough, and using and working with their own natural physiology so that they can have a quicker comeback rate. Emotions are not bad. You know, feeling angry is not wrong. I've just had this conversation with one of my children. You know, feeling frustrated is not wrong. We are human beings with human emotions, and those emotions we are meant to experience the full rainbow of emotions. I always, you know, you hear people talk about, I shouldn't feel like that, or that's a good emotion, that's a bad emotion. They're all equally valid and required. You know, quite a lot of we get ourselves into trouble with our emotional health when we repress emotions, you know, underneath a lot of anxiety and depression, and there's a lot more to it than that, but quite often it's underneath all of that is repressed anger. You know, what we want to be able to do is help children experience the full range of emotions and have a quicker comeback rate, so they are able to come back quickly, but also they're able to process their emotions, so we don't disown and deny our feelings. That's not what this is about at all. Learning mindfulness and meditation is all about us being able to regulate our systems and understanding that actually we are not wrong for having feelings. You know, so that's the first thing that I wanted to get out of the way, that actually if you are looking for a quick fix to make your child conform, this is absolutely what this is not about that at all. This is about your child living in the fullest expression of who they really are and having the courage and the confidence to just shine and just be who they were meant to be, you know? So, why is this so passionate to me personally? I think at the moment this is particularly personal, particularly important because we've been so disconnected from each other over the past couple of years. But really, what I noticed with my own children and the children that we work with, remember we work from age 2 all the way up to 19, is that actually there is no time for children in today's society to rest. And what do I actually mean by rest? There are 7 different types of rest. So we think we're doing a great job if we're getting to bed on time. Like, this is us as adults. We're going to bed on time. Think, I'm getting my 8 hours. Hello, everyone who's joining me. It's so nice to have so many of you on. Please do let me know who it is who is watching. But as adults, we think, oh, I'm getting my 8 hours sleep. I'm doing great. But then, as the minute that we wake up in the morning, we're onto our phones, we're scrolling through, we are just constantly on the go. There is no time or space for us to actually rest. So we have physical rest, which, yes, is the sleep, but physical rest is also about nourishing your body with breath, you know, doing using physiological methods, using your physicality, giving that a rest through stretching, through gentle exercise. That's what I would class as physical rest. We also obviously have mental rest, so that's disconnecting from the technology. Maybe that is, you know, giving yourself an opportunity just to focus on one thing at one time. That's a different type of rest. We also have emotional rest, where we allow ourselves the opportunity to speak authentically, to allow ourselves just to honor our emotions. That's emotional rest, you know, allowing that, not holding anything back, just free flow, like witnessing and honoring, observing and flowing with all of the different, those rainbows of emotions that I've already spoke about. We also have spiritual rest, which is resting in that space where we feel supported and held by something that is bigger than just you or I alone. What I've really noticed is that And this goes for adults more than anything, but at the moment we're really all searching for that sense of support, that sort of, it does feel like there's hope, there's light at the end of the tunnel, there's some sort of reason that I have a purpose in this world. Connecting with that gives you spiritual rest. It's almost like you're being held. And I think about that, I think about being held by this beautiful divine, I don't even know how to describe it, but almost like a cloud. But that's just me. That's the way my mind works. We also have social rest, which is that ability to step back and be not disconnected, because we have a human need for connection, but be able to just be in a quieter space with less social interaction. We never get that anymore. We also have what is known as sensory rest. So that's just sort of disconnecting again from screens, from lighting, from noises. You know, everything's so busy these days. Everything's like bright lights and flashing. Everything's like pulling you in. Get your attention this way. I'm going to do this and make this sound, and I'm going to beep, and I'm going to, all of this, like sensory overload. You know, we need a rest from that as well. And we also need what is known as creative rest, which is stepping away and immersing yourself maybe in art or in music, to allow yourself just to be supported by the beauty of those things, but also to allow your brain to switch from beta into alpha, which is where all of our creative thinking happens when we move into that gorgeous alpha brainwaves. Beta, for those of you that don't know, is where we sit most of the time. So for most of us, we spend most of our lives in our beta brainwaves, or the majority of our brainwaves are in beta. And what beta is, it's our thinking, it's our doing, it's our busyness, it's our analytical, it's our logical, it's our rational brainwaves. But what we actually need to do is be able to access these alpha brainwaves as well, where we house and store our creativity. And creativity, for a lot of people these days, you think, oh, well, I'm not really creative, I'm not really artistic, I'm not really into all that sort of stuff. But you like to solve problems, right? So this is about being able to think outside the box. This is also about being able to hear the wisdom of your own soul as well. You know, we hold so much knowledge and so much wisdom inside of our bodies and inside of our souls, that now what's amazing is science is able now to record, and there is data which shows that intuition, for example, does exist. So all this stuff isn't necessarily just woo-woo and all fluffy. It wouldn't be part of the Excel curriculum if it was. Everything that we talk about is backed up by science. That's just the way that we like it around here. So my reason to get back to my original point is, children do not have the opportunity these days to rest in any of those ways. Yes, they might get to bed on time if we're lucky, but they do not give themselves, and society does not give themselves, time to have this kind of rest. So there's no mental rest, because we're going and we're busy and we're doing, and we've got screens and we're learning and we're taking things in all of the time. There's no emotional rest, because people are constantly telling them to behave, to calm down. You know, when I'm telling my child to calm down, what I'm actually doing is asking them to disown how they're feeling, or to deny, I'm denying how they are feeling. There's no space for them to be authentically who they are. They have to conform to this role, you know, particularly in school. And I understand you have to, as a teacher myself, you have to have, there are certain rules that we have to follow. You know, you have to behave a certain way in order to be ready to learn, you know. I get that. But we also need to give children space to rest. They need to have a space to rest where they can be and sit with their emotions without being afraid of it, without being, you know, disowning and denying who they really are on those emotions as they come up. You know, I thought, and I'll get to my journey in a minute, but I thought there was something wrong with me. I thought I was a bad person for feeling stuff. You know, it's difficult in this world, because so much of society asks you to conform and be quite, especially particularly as a woman. I always go down this track, but you know, I'm not particularly a feminist, but then when I have these kind of conversations, I do think I am. That, you know, this is about, as women, we are told that good girls don't make a noise, good girls don't shout, good girls don't get angry. All that kind of stuff comes up. Hopefully you can still see me. I know that my internet connection is pretty dire at the moment. Please let me know. I don't know how, if the internet's not working, you won't be able to, but hopefully I'll work it out if you can't hear me. But you know, this is about us, you know, particularly as women, we're put in these boxes. This is how you should behave. and that's what's happening with children, that we're not giving them enough space to just be who they are. They certainly are losing earlier that sense of magic, that sense of connection, that sense of spirituality, that there is something bigger that like for me, I am quite spiritual, and I'll use the term God, but for other people it's about universe, it's about source, it's about whatever it is, but just this sense that actually there is magic in the world, there is reason and order in the world, and that's so important. There's no time for social rest. We take them off to, there's so many layers to this, isn't there? But you feel like, right, well, I need to take my kid to netball, then I need to also take them to swimming, then they've got a party, then they need to do this, then they need to do the other, and they better do that after school club as well, because if they don't do it, they'll be the only child that doesn't do it. And they end up in this situation where they are constantly on the go, constantly in social settings. And that is important, particularly in teenage years, like they have a natural pull towards being with their peers. That's a completely different topic. When we get to the teenage years, like actually that is good for them. Let them go off and do that. But when they're younger, and actually when we come out that teenage phase, what we really need is space and time to be still, to be silent, to be with ourselves, rather than projecting everything externally all the time. There's no time for us to just be with us. As children, remember, the peer pressure is just so intense, isn't it? You want to keep up with the Joneses, you want to be part of the in crowd, you won't want to be, like singled out by the mean girls. And remember, school is kind of set up to kind of maintain that almost hierarchy. I remember at school that, you'd be playing netball, for example, and our sports teacher would be like, right, your team captain and your team captain, and you'd be stood there like thinking, please pick me, please pick me. And then there's part of me going, I don't actually want to get picked at all, but I also don't want to be the last person to pick. What does it mean about me if I'm the last person to be picked? There's so much like social status, and actually what I understand now is that as part of how we operate, we are primal creatures, we are tribal creatures, so we want to be part of the tribe. Like, that's a human need within us. That sense of connection is really, really important. So I'm not saying let's take children out into isolation by any means, because it's a human need, but what we also need is a break from that need to keep up, to be more, to do more. That's what our classes are all about. It's a space for you to just be. Our techniques are a space for you just where it's okay for you to be you. It doesn't, we do a lot of physical work with children, we do a lot of stretches, we do, and for various reasons, which I'll talk you through over the next couple of days so you understand why. But to give you an example, it doesn't really matter in our classes if I am here and you're up here, or everyone else has got their arms wide and you've got your arms together. As long as you are connected to how your body feels in that moment, that's the important bit. So by doing that, we're offering children a space where they can they don't have to keep up anymore, they don't have to do more, they don't have to be any more than they actually already are. So why, that gives you a bit of that's just a bit of a taster about why this is so important. But my bigger why, the reason why this is so important to me personally, is because I really had a beautiful childhood on paper. I had an amazingly supportive group of friends and family, and we had absolutely everything that we needed, really. But I still struggled with my mental health, and for a large extent, I do still struggle. I have to meditate, I have to use breathwork, I have to be in nature, I have to do all these things in order to sort of give me that sense of balance. Like, I'm really aware of that. Like, there is a natural propensity for me to struggle with anxiety and depression. And that's something that I'm working through. But because that's what makes me so good about what I do, really, is I really understand what it feels like to be stressed. I really understand what it feels like to have anxiety, so I can create a beautiful space based on that, and a lot of that is also my space at the same time when I'm working with children and when I'm working with adults as well. That's my space too, to recommit to why this is so important, but also to practice these techniques for myself. They still work for me. But during my childhood, as I say, I was super, super sensitive. I was super, super, super shy. And that meant actually that I was so shy, no matter what my mum did. I was always clinging to a leg. I went through a massive phase where I refused to go to school. I literally had to be dragged into school, and no matter what my mum and my family did, it didn't really seem to make any difference. Hi, Jenny, lovely to have you here. And I actually sort of grew up feeling there was something wrong with me, that I was not good enough because I was shy. I was not good enough because I was really sensitive. I was not good enough, or I was a bad person in some way. I should be better. I shouldn't be feeling like this. Nobody else is feeling like that either. I really had this misunderstanding around what was actually happening to me. Now, I understand that actually what was happening to me in my body was a physiological thing that was then impacting how I was thinking. Okay, so we'll talk more about that in over the week, and I think we talk about it maybe on day 2. But essentially, when we feel fear or we are threatened or we experience that moment of actually, am I going to be rejected here? Am I not going to be picked as part of the team? Am I not going to be in the in crowd? Am I going to have to leave my parent, my caregiver, whatever it is? Then our bodies go into this state of stress. When that happens, it changes your thought patterns. It changes your brain waves. So when I'm in that mode, there's not much that I can do until I'm out that stress state. Obviously, as a child, I didn't really understand that. I was never closing that stress cycle down. I was just moving through life consistently and continually in this state of stress. And over time, what that meant was I then started really to deny and disown all of my needs. Like I said at the beginning of the life, we come to this earth fully expressing who we are, fully expressing our needs. I scream for food, I scream for sleep, I scream to get my nappy changed. And I know 100%, at least at the very start of my life, until I'm proven otherwise, that love and that care and that need, all of that care is going to be given and that need is going to be met. So I continue to speak my truth. I continue to have my needs met and I get them met. And it becomes this gorgeous cycle of expecting to have my needs met, then I'm able to communicate my needs being met, etc., etc. Through this process of struggling at school and being super shy, I actually went to this stage where I started to deny and disown my feelings because I thought this is something wrong with me. This is I'm a bad person or whatever it was. And I absolutely should clarify this is nothing to do with what my teachers or what my parents and my caregivers did for me. This is just something that, through a combination of different experiences, different stages of grief and loss and things I went through, that this is where I ended up. And I started to deny and disown my feelings. What that actually happens is you start to self-abandon. You start to lose really the essence of who you are. I was really starting to get to this point where I would just do anything just to fit in, just for that sense of acceptance, just for that sense of connection to other people. So I would ignore what I was feeling. I'd ignore that wisdom from my body that's telling me this situation doesn't serve you. This situation doesn't feel great for you. Those people aren't great for you and your nervous system. I'd start to just go along with the crowd. I mean, this went on for years and years and years and years. And me and Emma, who's doing the training with me, she'll be joining you tomorrow to share her story, I'm sure. But this went on until into my 20s. I ended up at uni doing a course I didn't even want to do, just because I wanted to keep up with the Joneses. I wanted to be part of the in crowd. I really started to ignore my own values. And what I've really started to understand over the past maybe 10 years is that a lot of our sense of self, a lot of where our values are held, a lot of our understanding of what makes us us is housed in the prefrontal cortex. When you are stressed, when you are worried, when you are anxious, and actually, even when you're thirsty, you're hungry, you're tired, and lots of other situations make this happen, but the prefrontal cortex, the blood supply to that, actually is disrupted or slowed. So what really happens is that I'm trying to show up in these situations and say, no, I don't want to do that, or no, I don't think that's right, actually. and laughing at jokes that I'm not comfortable with, being in places that I'm not comfortable with, doing things that I'm not particularly comfortable with. I'm trying to show up and say, hang on a minute, this isn't aligned with me and my values. But my prefrontal cortex, because I'm stressed, because I'm shy, because I'm never closing out these stress cycles, because I am very sensitive, so I experience emotions on a really deep level, which quite often puts me into this state of stress. Now I understand that. Now I know all you've got to do, Charlotte, is close that stress cycle down and you'll feel better. As a child, I didn't know how to do that. As a teenager, I certainly didn't know how to do it. Even as a young adult, I didn't know how to do it. And that's because my prefrontal cortex there, which houses all your values, your sense of self, your sense of who you are, what makes you you, what you like, what you don't like. I never had access to that. So I sort of grew up in this way where I woke up in my mid-20s a bit like, I don't even know who I am. So that is why I do this. I spent a lot of my early 20s and actually mid-20s going out drinking every weekend. I didn't have a problem, but I was just like, I wanted to lose myself in order to find myself. The only time I felt truly me when I was lost in the music, and that might be in Ibiza. And it wasn't about the drink, it was about the music and the dance and the just being free. It was only in those moments where I really felt like connected to who I truly was. The rest of the time, I was just like, who am I? So every weekend, I was like, I'm craving that feeling of stepping into my power, stepping into my purpose again. So it's really, really interesting. There was like this disconnect between who I was and how I was showing up in the world. And a lot of it was because I spent my entire life stressed and not understanding that I needed to close these stress cycles down. Inherently, there is nothing wrong with us experiencing stress. We are built to withstand and deal with and manage stress. Stress is there to serve us. The chain of reactions in the body and the brain. Remember, it changes your physiology, but it changes the way you think as well. That is all there for a purpose. But if we don't close that stress cycle, that is when the problems start to exist physically, but also emotionally. When I'm stuck in those cycles, remember, stress and cortisol and those changes in the brain lead to negative patterns of thought, to catastrophizing, to worst case scenarios. That was how I was living my life, on top of the fact that I had no sense of self, no values. I obviously did. I knew from right from wrong, but when I say values, I mean like the things that light me up, the things that are important to me. I just went along and did what everyone else wanted to do. And I look back and I think, oh my word, if I had this understanding, this is not you being a bad person. This is not you having something wrong with you. You're a highly sensitive person in a really chaotic world, and you need to be able to regulate your system. And if I had that wisdom given to me in a way that a child could understand, imagine if I'd grown up from way back in the day at primary school all the way to now, if I really had that sense of presence and of self and of my values and that sense of confidence. And I was able to get all of those factors of rest ticked off. If I was able to stretch my body, if I was able to give my mind a rest and come back into balance, if I'm able to speak authentically and honor my emotions, if I'm able to have that knowledge, actually, that spiritual rest, that sense of support, unconditional love, that reconnection to who we are when we come to this earth, that believes in magic, that believes in, there's a reason, there's a purpose for everything. If I'd had all those different types of rest, my life would be completely different. The upside is I figured it out now. I'm here now, able to use mindfulness and meditation. Mindfulness gives me daily opportunities, numerous opportunities throughout the day. Mindfulness is about embedding principles into the way that we live. This is about numerous opportunities to check in with what's happening with our body, understand the wisdom that the body is telling us, that tells us when something feels good, when something's serving you, when something's good for you, but also when things aren't so great, when you need a rest, when you need to relax, when you need to ask for support. This is what's so important in terms of children. We're not saying you have to always self-regulate. We're not saying every time it's the onus is on that child. It's them being able to say, I need support, I need help, which is what I was not able to do. I left things too long. I was scared for too long. I misread situations. There's so much going on, so many layers happening. I could have asked for help, but I didn't understand that that was necessarily an option for me. I didn't know when to ask for help. I ignored the signals my body was sending me for too long. So part of what mindfulness does for children and does for me on a daily basis is it gives me numerous opportunities throughout the day to check in with what my body is telling me. The breath knows, the tightness in my tummy knows, the rhythm of my heart knows what feels good and what doesn't. And it's an opportunity to just keep checking in. What am I choosing for myself in this moment? And also, what it's doing for me is when I check in with the breath and the body, it gives me a chance to witness and observe this. It's almost like this news feed which is going on the bottom here, like Sky News. The headlines are just constantly going through our brains. That's why I talk about our internal narrative. It gives me an opportunity to catch that internal narrative. Children age 8 and above can catch that narrative. Beyond that, there's other things that we're doing to prepare them to be able to catch that narrative. But once you get to around 8, and obviously it's different for every child and every child's situation, the amount of trauma they've been through and all that kind of stuff. But we're able to have that sense of meta awareness, that sense of being able to observe what's happening in our minds, that sense of being able to hear the angel and the devil, that sit on our shoulders and tell us, you can do this, and the other one's saying, no, you can't, and being able to understand why that's happening. Mindfulness for me gives me that opportunity, and it's an opportunity for me to train myself to be able to put down unhelpful thoughts. That's one of the things that we really work on with children, is that you get to choose that dial. You are the one who's in charge. You can choose how you want to think, and that will inform how you feel, and as a result that will inform how you behave. But with meditation itself, it's a chance for me to access all of that rest that I spoke about, those 7 different types of rest. All of that is available to you when you meditate. But it's also about changing the way that our brain works. So that prefrontal cortex that's been damaged maybe by that lack of blood flow, that we can fill those holes back in. We can change the way that the brain works. We can make sure that we have really positive neural pathways and connections. Meditation can give us that. And like I say, a hallmark of emotional well-being, one of the most important sort of indicators of emotional well-being is sense of self. That's all housed in this prefrontal cortex. Meditation for consistently, for good length of time allows you to redistribute that blood flow back to the brain, but equally, and fill in those holes, undo the damage that stress does to our brains. Like if you saw the brain scans of stressed out people that are I'm talking about chronic stressed people, their brains, it is insane. Meditation fills those holes in. But what is really amazing as well is that just taking one breath allows that prefrontal cortex to come back online. One deep and full breath. Take another, because that breath leads to the next breath, that leads to the next breath. The research shows we do 3 in a row. We can start to that chain reaction in the body to help settle the nervous system down and help to make those changes in blood flow in the brain. So I've probably gone on for long enough. I'm hoping that you've got the picture. My reason for doing this is because I do not want another child to have to struggle in the way that I struggled through my childhood. I can't remember much of my childhood, if I'm honest. And that's again because of the way that my brain was functioning, the emotional states that I was in. This is nobody's fault. This is just because I'm a highly sensitive, highly, deeply feeling person that needs to close out these stress cycles. That's all this is about. I just want to give that gift to as many children as possible. It's about us. Again, Vicky's just said here, I love the idea of showing children they can be still. Exactly. body. That's about those 7 aspects of rest. So many so many people are just so busy, and they're just doing so much, and their children are just like in pinballs, going from one side of the pinball machine to the other, and that becomes normal to them. And then we've created a rod for our own back, because almost we're then having to undo this, what's now become a habit, something that feels so uncomfortable to me, to be still. What's amazing about what we do with the way that we teach children meditation and mindfulness is that we employ a lot the use of rhythm and repetition and mindful movement. So for those children that really have got this habitual need to, or maybe it's coming from trauma. A lot of children that experience trauma need to continually keep going, keep being, because then we don't want to access those memories and all that kind of stuff. We use a lot of, as I say, movement and making it really mindful, a lot of coarser movements or coarser activities rather than just focusing on the breath, so that those children that can't be still initially can be eased into it. So we do a lot of kind of interplay between movement and then a tiny bit of stillness, and then we build up to that. So that's gorgeous, like showing children that they don't have to keep going, you don't have to keep up. There's that narrative all the time of do more, be more. And as adults, we're so guilty of that, aren't we? We sit down, particularly as parents, we sit down and think, oh gosh, I've got to do the washing. I need to hoover up. And actually, I should be reading with my child. And then I should be doing this and I should be doing the other. And it's just constant go. So it is no wonder that our children grow up feeling like they must do the same. One of the biggest lessons that you'll learn over the next few days, I hope, is that children don't do what we say, they do what we do. They model us. So the first place that we need to look at is ourselves. And that's why tomorrow, the first day of the training, is focused all around you. Do not miss this bit out. If you've been teaching mindfulness and meditation, or you've been trying to integrate it into the classroom and had no success, usually it's because of this. You've missed this bit. It starts with you. I don't want to give too much of it away, but your nervous system needs to hold and support the children in your world. So if you're not right, if you're not regulated, if you're not settled, and remember that it's okay for you to melt down yourself. It's okay for you to shout and scream. Like there's none of that range of emotion is wrong. But if you're not able to bring yourself back, and if you're not able to be regulated in that moment when you're trying to engage with your child in a mindful way, or ask them to sit with you, or ask them to breathe with you, or whatever it is, it's not going to work. So tomorrow's task begins with that, which leads me really quickly on to talking about, because I'll forget this bit, this is the whole reason of it coming on, how the training works. So in the morning, if you have signed up, and there are nearly 900 people in here now, not everyone has signed up for the challenge, but if you want to get the most out of this training, here's what you need to do. Sign up to the challenge. You will get an email saying you've got a place. And then what will happen is at 7 a.m, tech gods allowing, you will get an email from us with a bite-sized video. It's got a little task in it, the first one tomorrow. It's also got a workbook. So follow the link in your email to get both your video and your workbook. Then we will announce that that's happened in the group, just in case you've forgotten. We're all super busy, and you can access that at any point in the day. But if you can pop any questions, anything you're struggling with, anything that you don't understand, anything you need more support with, particularly if you've got a certain situation which is quite unique. So maybe you've been trying this for a while and XYZ keeps happening, or whatever it is, pop it on that thread. So on the task thread, there'll also be an Ask Me Anything post that usually goes out around 2-3 o'clock in the afternoon. We will use the questions and the feedback from the Ask Me Anything thread to inform our live in the evening. And in the evening, we'll be having a good old chat. We'll be answering your questions live. We'll be exploring that topic in much more depth. So the video that you get in the morning, the email that you get in the morning, is the foundational knowledge that you need. We'll then explore that for those that want to explore it on a deeper level, that really care about this, that really want to get the most out of this training. Join us live every evening at 7:45. Obviously, you've got lives, you've also need to get your own rest. So those replays will also be available to you. But obviously, if you've got a question, you're better off asking it live, and we can get you the answers straight away when you need it. There is also prizes to be won as well. Our mission throughout this week is to help as many of you as possible get your head around this stuff so that we can really start to support as many children as possible with their spiritual, physical and emotional well-being. That's our aim, as many children as possible to be supported by this stuff. We're not aiming to make everybody gurus. Far from it. We're not aiming to make it perfect. We're just aiming to touch as many lives as we possibly can. So with that in mind, we want you to engage, we want you to take part, we want you to ask questions so that you can understand. So that in mind, the people that engage the most, according to Facebook, so Facebook will give me a reading and say these are the people that have been most active in the group over the 3 days, you will win a prize. We are still sending out the prizes from the last challenge that we did. So if you're waiting, and I think Jenny, if you're on, you are owed a hoodie. I don't know if you ever sent me your address, but we will definitely get that over to you. It might take a month, but we'll get it to you. So that's how it works. This is all about doing whatever we can as an organisation to reach as many children as possible. So with that in mind, I would love to hear from you all. I'd love to know your stories. I'd love to know if what I've said tonight resonates with you. I'd love to know why you're here. Like, what's your biggest reason for being here? What, you know, and being connected with that will help you be consistent, will help you keep showing up, will help you keep learning, you know. So please take the time to let us know. We'd love to support you. There are lots of Exhale instructors in here who are qualified and able to assist you. So they will respond to comments on a first come, first served basis. Like I said, there's nearly 900 people in here, so we might have our hands full or we might not. Let's see what happens. But if you want support, if you want expert advice, please do reach out and we will respond to you as quickly as possible. And that is everything that I had to say. Thank you so much for joining me. I'm reading some of the comments here, and somebody said so much of my journey is similar. I feel you. If you know, like, it's one of those things you think, I didn't have a bad life, but it could have been better. You know, it could have been completely different. Somebody's put here, this is nice. One of my year 5 said after session she loves the silence, it made a nice change. Exactly, like, we just, this is what's really good about mindfulness and meditation for kids. We expect them to be really resistant, but there is something that's so beautiful about children just sitting in that space of stillness and magic and feeling held and supported. You can literally see the change on their faces and their little bodies, you know. It's just so good. It gives me goosebumps every time. Me, one of my instructors, Claire, used to tag team teach a class, an after school club, and we used to cry because we used to be like, oh my gosh, it's just so gorgeous, because you never see it, and there is something that's so, it's just so perfect to watch that unfold in front of your eyes. And they'll come into class and they'll be super hyper, they'll have been contained all day, you know. School sort of does that, it needs to do that in a way, and just to see them unfold into the stillness, oh, it's just so gorgeous, so lovely. So thank you for all your comments. Oh, it was Emma. Let's have a look. Emma was saying that. Okay, and then somebody else is saying, I'm looking forward to helping my children take the time to process their thoughts, stop and understand and set them rather than rush. This is so true, and that's all I meant to say. I've actually written something really similar down about my own journey with mindfulness and meditation, and what I find is that it gives me a stopgap between the situation, the circumstance, and my response. I'm able to breathe. It gives me a chance to pause, witness, and honor how I'm feeling. And then from that place of balance, where my nervous system is now balanced, where my prefrontal cortex is now back online, where I've got that rational thought, that I'm able to think creatively to solve problems, I'm then able to come back and check in and say, is this right for me, what I'm doing? Does this align with my values? But, you know, when we're children, you might not understand that kind of language, but essentially that's what we're doing for them. We're giving them an opportunity to pause, to breathe, and step forward as who they truly are, and make a decision that comes from the heart rather than just from habits, rather than just from that stressed out state, rather than that reactive kind of vibe, that almost aggressive kind of like bite back kind of vibe. It's just so gorgeous. And a lot of that comes from building self-compassion and self-awareness. So we do a lot of work with children around that. A lot of what we'll do over the next few days will help with that. So whoever said that, you're absolutely in the right place. It's about that sense of self-love and acceptance. I'm not a bad person because I experience anger, for example. Love that. Thank you for sharing that. So I will see you all in the morning. Go and enjoy your Sunday. Go and have a glass of wine or a brew, a bit of chocolate, whatever makes you feel good. And remember that it starts with you. So do take the time tomorrow to go through that task. Myself, Emma, and the Exhale crew are here to hold you and support you throughout the whole process. And I'll see you very soon. It's exciting.